If she had some deprogramming, she could be such a fantastic candidate.
What do you mean deprogramming?
Well, she just doesn't, she's never going to resonate with people outside of the bubble that she lives in the very, very far left.
What did they freak out about?
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness, crime, the border, education. Like we stopped being a scientific people.
Although Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, commonly known as AOC, has not publicly announced any plans to seek the Democratic nomination, many political insiders believe she may be quietly positioning herself for a future presidential run. Among those expressing concern is Bill Maher, who warns that the Democratic Party could face a significant setback in 2028 if it chooses her as its leading candidate. Maher insists that his concerns are based on political realities rather than speculation. He presents his arguments with confidence and conviction, suggesting that the outcome could reshape the party's future. So get ready, because what follows may completely change the way you view this potential political showdown. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because this discussion is about to get intense.
I would love to have AOC on the show, and Mamdani and Elizabeth Warren, but I can't subpoena the guests. And I can't fix that what the Democrats are scared of more than anything else, I mean, obviously besides gluten, is being primaried from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse.
Bill Maher has never been hesitant to criticize AOC. He claims that despite receiving multiple invitations, she has consistently avoided appearing on his show. According to Maher, this isn't simply a matter of scheduling conflicts, but a deliberate choice. He believes she prefers to avoid environments where questions are unscripted, where she cannot control the narrative, and where she lacks the support of a sympathetic audience. Moments like these can leave lasting impressions. Critics often point to an instance when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez spoke at a European conference and faced a question that they argue caught her off guard. That clip gained attention for a reason. Maher's argument is straightforward. He believes she wants to avoid experiencing a similar situation again, especially before millions of viewers with the pressure at its highest level.
If there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be afraid.
Some critics argue that the growing influence of figures such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Zohran Mamdani has contributed to moderates becoming less enthusiastic about participating in elections. For many of these voters, the Democratic Party no longer feels familiar. They believe it has evolved into something they hardly recognize. Traditionally, the Democratic Party has represented a broad form of liberalism built around civil rights, open discussion, and a coalition that embraces diverse perspectives. However, critics contend that a newer and more ideologically rigid faction, often described as woke, has gained prominence, with AOC viewed as one of its most recognizable leaders. They argue that this transformation has created divisions within the party, leaving centrists feeling marginalized, overlooked, and less motivated to vote.
If she had some deprogramming, she could be such a fantastic candidate.
What do you mean deprogramming?
Well, she just doesn't, she's never going to resonate with people outside of the bubble that she lives in the very, very far left.
Well,
and that, I mean, the New York Times, of all people, the people I've been like squabbling with for the last 7, 8, 10 years, whatever, when I was all about, Democrats have gone too far left, they just put out a huge editorial basically saying exactly what I've been saying.
What, that she's too far left?
Yes.
Critics argue that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez struggles to broaden her appeal beyond a relatively limited political base. They believe she faces difficulty connecting with moderate voters who do not fully embrace her message, while also failing to persuade conservatives who consider her positions too far outside mainstream political thought. In their view, this creates an electoral ceiling that is difficult to overcome. Bill Maher takes this concern even further, warning that her political style could weaken the Democratic Party on a national stage. He contends that her ideas resonate strongly among progressive activists, but lose effectiveness when presented to a broader and more politically diverse audience. In a general election, where success depends on building wide-ranging coalitions, Maher argues that this gap could become a major political liability.
That the only way the Democrats will ever win again, not that the Republicans are probably going to give it back, is to be more moderate. But we don't have to argue about her. I mean, she has.
If people think she's too far left, then that shows another way this country's broken right now.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily broken in that way, but it just shows how the country is not there. That is not where the country is, and if you don't,
unfortunately, that's the one thing, and I hate to admit this. This country is not as mature as it thinks it is.
Patton Oswalt has appeared to suggest that widespread opposition to some of AOC's policies reflects a deeper problem within American society itself. Critics, however, argue that this conclusion goes too far and lacks reasonable perspective. They contend that it reveals more about the mindset within certain ideological circles than about the country as a whole. From their viewpoint, it reflects an echo chamber in which opposing opinions are not seriously engaged with, but instead quickly dismissed. Bill Maher strongly challenges this perspective. He argues that disagreement is not evidence of moral decline, but rather an indication of a healthy society where individuals think independently and openly question ideas they find unconvincing. In his view, rejecting certain policies does not mean society is failing. It demonstrates that people are still capable of forming their own judgments.
We elected Obama, and clearly the country freaked out. We're still living in that freak out. We are not as progressed and evolved and intelligent as we think we are because we keep freaking out about this stuff.
Well,
you know?
The left freak out too. The left freaked out about a lot of bullshit too.
What did they freak out about?
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness, crime, the border, education. Like we stopped being a scientific people. Like it's not scientific.
But the left certainly stayed scientific.
Bill Maher frequently focuses on what he considers the most controversial aspects of AOC's political agenda, including debates surrounding gender issues, education standards, immigration and border policies, public safety, and homelessness. To him, these topics represent more than ordinary policy disagreements. He sees them as evidence of a broader shift in priorities that many voters, including longtime liberals, struggle to understand or support. Critics argue that some positions associated with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appear disconnected from everyday concerns, prioritizing ideology over practical solutions. They believe this is where the real divide begins. Maher also notes that skepticism is not limited to conservatives. He points to voices within the political left who are increasingly questioning whether the movement has drifted too far from its original principles. When even traditional allies begin expressing doubts, he argues, it signals a deeper identity crisis within the party.
No, they didn't.
Why not?
Because they think gender bullshit that they went way too far with, that's not scientific.
But how did I'm not trying to. How did they go too far with like gender stuff? And I'm not trying to
instead of if I was teaching children, what I would teach them is there is a default setting for the human being, which is heterosexuality, but that doesn't mean every person is that, and we should completely respect everyone who isn't that. But we understand that that's called a minority, and what makes us a great country is that we respect minorities. We don't think they're lesser just because they're lesser in numbers.
Treating all individuals with dignity and respecting minority groups regardless of their background is a fundamental principle of any fair and healthy society. That commitment to equality is not in dispute. However, critics argue that showing respect should not automatically require agreement with every viewpoint or policy proposal. Supporting equal rights does not mean abandoning independent thought or accepting every idea without scrutiny. In an open society, people are expected to evaluate arguments carefully, examine evidence, and reach their own conclusions. According to this perspective, problems arise when disagreement is automatically interpreted as hostility rather than recognized as a normal part of democratic discussion. It is entirely possible to support equality and human dignity while continuing to ask difficult questions and challenge competing viewpoints. In fact, many argue that this balance is essential for meaningful public discourse. The freedom to think independently and engage in honest debate is not a threat to progress. It is one of the forces that sustains it.